Hello everyone. Today we shall learn a new lesson that is chapter 12 stock exchange. So coming to the introduction of the lesson, in the earlier chapters we have discussed about the sources of capital, meaning of owned and borrowed capital and the ways of raising the capital. So is there any special market where securities are bought and sold? So yes, there is a special market where the securities can be traded or where the securities can be purchased and sold. That market is none other than stock market, or we can also call it as a stock exchange. A stock market is an important constituent of capital market. It is a part of financial market where corporate securities are bought and sold. So stock market is an important part of capital market. It is a specific financial market where the company's securities are traded. It is an organized capital market where second-hand securities are bought and sold for investment and speculation purposes. So stock market is especially a market where the second-hand securities or where existing securities are traded by the company and by the investors. Only listed securities can be traded in a stock exchange. A stock exchange is also called as secondary market or stock market or share market or share bazaar. So these companies whose shares are listed in the stock market, only such securities, that is only listed securities, can be traded in a stock exchange. The other synonyms or the other substitute words for stock exchange are, we can also call it as a secondary market or a stock market or a share market or a share bazaar. Moving on to the next part, that is meaning of stock exchange. Stock exchange is a specific place where various types of securities are purchased and sold. So stock market is a market or it is a place where securities are purchased and they are sold. The term securities include equity shares, preference shares, debentures, government securities, bonds, etc. Also it includes mutual funds. So stock markets acts as an intermediary between investors and borrowers. So it acts as a connector or it acts as a link between the investors and borrowers. To provide safety and stability to the investors, stock exchanges in India are regulated by SEBI. So in order to provide or in order to protect the interest of the shareholders, stock markets are controlled or they are regulated by the Securities Exchange Board of India, that is SEBI. A stock exchange provides a platform to the investors, individuals or institutions to purchase or sell the securities of a company's government or semi-government institutions. So stock exchange or a stock market provides a platform where the investors or the individuals or the institutions can purchase or sell the securities either of the company, either of government or semi-government institutions. It acts as a commodity market where securities are bought and sold. The London Stock Exchange, which was founded in 1571, is the oldest stock exchange in the world, while Bombay Stock Exchange, which was founded in 1875, is the oldest stock exchange in India. So, two main stock exchanges are mentioned in this slide. The first one is the London Stock Exchange, which is the oldest stock exchange in the world, which was founded in the year 1571. And when we talk about India, Bombay Stock Exchange is the oldest stock exchange. It was founded in the year 1875. Then moving on to the definitions, two definitions are given here. The first definition is according to Securities Contract Act of 1956. The term stock exchange is defined as an association, organization or body of individuals, whether incorporated or not, established for the purpose of assisting, regulating and controlling of business in buying, selling and dealing in securities. So this definition is given by Securities Contract Act of 1956. So according to this definition, it says that stock exchange or a stock market is an association or it is a group consisting of individuals or consisting of organizations. They may be incorporated or they may not be incorporated. The main purpose of establishing the stock exchange is to provide assistance, to provide regulation and to provide controlling of the business in buying, selling and in general trading of securities. The second definition is given by Husband and Dockery. They have defined stock exchange as stock exchanges are privately organized market which are used to facilitate trading in securities. So according to this definition, it is told that Stock exchange is nothing but it is a privately organized market, okay, and whose main objective is to provide trading in securities, where the securities can be traded easily. That particular place is called as a stock exchange. Moving on to the next slide, that is features of stock exchange. Mainly 6 features are given here. The first feature is market for securities. So stock exchange is a market where the securities can be traded. Securities may be relating to any company, government or semi-government bodies. So when the securities are traded at one particular place, that place is called as a stock exchange or a stock market. So it is a market for trading the securities. The second feature is second-hand securities. Securities usually traded in stock exchanges. They are the second-hand securities, or they are the existing securities, or they are the securities which are already issued by the companies. Means new securities or fresh securities are not traded in stock exchanges. Only second-hand securities are bought and sold among the investors in a stock exchange. And the third feature is listed securities. Only securities or the companies whose shares are listed in the stock exchanges can be traded in the stock market. The unlisted companies cannot trade in the stock exchanges. So listing of securities helps in protecting the interest of investors, as companies have to strictly comply, because as the company has to follow the rules and regulations given by stock exchanges, so only listed companies can trade their securities in the stock exchange. Then the next feature is organized and regulated market. All listed companies have to comply with the guidelines of SEBI. Companies will also have to function as per the rules and regulations laid down by stock exchange. So here organized and regulated market ka matlab hai, usually the stock exchanges are organized and they are controlled by the SEBI. Means the working operations or the working activities of the stock exchanges are checked by the Securities Exchange Board of India. Then the fifth feature is specific location. Stock exchange is a specific physical place where securities are traded. It is a marketplace where brokers and intermediaries meet to conduct the dealings in the securities. Today, all trading is done electronically on a stock exchange. So usually stock exchange is having one particular place, one fixed place will be there where the trading takes place between the investors. So it is a market where all the brokers, intermediaries join, or they come at one place together and they do the trading activities. And nowadays the trading, everything is done electronically. Earlier everything was done in a physical mode, but now because of change in the technology, the trading is done in a electronic way. Then the last feature is trading only through members. Securities in a stock exchange can be traded only by the members of the exchange on their own behalf or through authorized brokers. So usually who can trade in the stock exchanges? Only members are allowed to trade in the stock exchanges. So members on their own behalf, they can do the trading, and if they do not want to do the trading on their own behalf, they can take the help of the authorized brokers. Means with the help of brokers they can do the trading activities. So these are the 6 important features of the stock exchange. Moving on to the next slide, that is the management of stock exchange. Now who manages the stock exchange as an institution? There is one executive committee who looks after all the overall activities and management of the stock exchange. The composition, powers, and the name of the executive committee differs from exchange to exchange. There are other supporting committees to assist the executive committee, like advisory committee, listing committee, etc. Now, who manages the activities or the working activities of a stock exchange? Usually, there is an executive committee who looks after the activities and management of the stock exchange. Now, when we talk about the management committee or the executive committee, usually the powers, the name, or the composition of the executive committee may vary from one stock exchange to another stock exchange. And for assisting the main executive committee, there are some supporting committees like the advisory committee, listing committee, etc. Okay. Then coming to the next part, that is organization structure of stock exchanges in India. Now how the structure of a stock exchange is there in India. In India, the stock exchange may be organized in one of the following three forms. Now, from any of these three forms, the stock exchanges in India have their organizational structure. So, the first structure, it may be in the form of voluntary non-profit making organization. The second type may be in the form of companies with liability limited by shares, or the third type is companies with liability limited by guarantee. So, among these three, any one structure the stock exchange can follow. The Securities Contract Act 1956 provides rules for their functioning, licensing, recognition, and controlling the speculations. The Securities Contract Act 1956 provides the rules for their functioning. Means this act, that is the Act of 1956, it provides all the rules how the stock exchange must function, how it gets the license, how it gets its recognition, and how it can have the controlling power. So this act defines all the functioning and related activities. Then moving on to the next topic, that is membership of stock exchange. So for your syllabus, the membership topic is not there, but for additional information, if you want to know the extra thing relating to the membership of stock exchange, you can just refer the website of the respective stock exchange. Okay, because the eligibility criteria for membership varies from one stock exchange to another stock exchange. So if you want to study about the membership of stock exchange in detail, you can just click on that particular stock exchange name. Then if you check, you will get their membership. Okay. Then coming to the most important topic of this lesson, that is functions of stock exchange. So the first function of stock exchange is mobilization of savings. So usually stock markets are the regulated and organized markets which protects the interest of the investors, and this encourages the small investors as well as the big investors to invest in securities through the stock exchange. It thus provides a ready market for buying and selling the securities. So the first function is mobilization of savings. So it helps the investors to save their amount or to invest whatever they have saved. They can invest that amount in the stock exchange activities, because stock exchange activities always encourages the small investors as well as the large investors also, as it provides a ready market for buying and selling of securities. Then the second function is capital formation. Investors in securities are attracted due to good returns on investment and capital appreciation. This attracts more investors to invest through the stock exchange. Corporates too can easily raise the funds by offering various types of securities to meet the needs of different types of investors. The stock exchange serves as a tool for capital formation. Now, whenever there is a need of capital for the company will start raising the capital either through public or through the internal source. Now, through this, what happens if any public is interested to invest in the company, then they can do the investment. And by this, what happens through the investment done by the investor, it helps in capital formation of a company. So, stock exchange, it serves as a tool for the capital formation of a company. Moving on to the third function, pricing of securities. The stock market helps to value the securities on the basis of demand and supply factors. The securities of profitable and growth oriented companies are valued higher as there is more demand for such securities. The valuation of securities is useful for investors, government, and creditors. The investors can know the market value of their investment. The creditors can estimate the credit worthiness of a company. Now, how the prices of the shares are fixed in a stock exchange? Usually, the stock exchange price or the price of the shares or the securities in stock exchange are totally based on the demand and supply factors. Now, if a company is growing at a very good rate and if it is a profitable company, then usually there is high demand for such companies securities. Now, if there is a high demand, the price of that security may increase. So the pricing of securities is totally based on the demand and supply conditions which is there in the market. Then the fourth function is economic barometer. Now, before we go this with economic barometer, let me tell you what do you mean by barometer. Now, here barometer is nothing but it is an instrument which is used for forecasting the weather. Okay, now here how stock exchange is related to a barometer, that to economic barometer. So it says that a stock exchange is a reliable barometer to measure the economic condition of a country. Every major change in country and economy is reflected in the prices of shares. The rise or fall in the share prices indicates the boom or recession cycle of the economy. Stock exchange is also known as a pulse of economy or economic mirror, as it reflects the economic conditions of a country. Now, how this stock exchange acts as a barometer. So, depending upon the stock exchange growth or depending upon the economic condition, a stock exchange acts as a barometer, or it is an instrument which measures the economic condition of a country, because every major change that is happening in the country or that is happening in the economy is reflected in the price of shares. Now, if in the economy there is a recession period, obviously the share market will go downwards, and if there is a boom period, then obviously the share prices will increase. So like this, the share market or the stock market, it acts as an instrument which measures the economic condition of a country. Then the fifth function is protecting interest of the investors. Stock exchange protects the interest of the investors. In stock market, only the listed securities are traded. Stock exchange allows listing only after verifying the soundness of company. The companies which are listed have to operate within the strict rules and regulations laid down by the stock exchange. This ensures safety of dealing through stock exchange. Now, how stock exchange protects the interest of the investors? So, as I told you, there is one board by name SEBI which protects the interest of the investors because it regulates or it controls the stock exchange activities. Okay, and whenever the stock exchange lists its securities, the soundness or the financial background of a company will be checked by the stock exchange. Then only they will be listed, or the securities will be listed in the stock exchange. And the companies whose shares are listed in the stock exchange, strict rules are given to them which they have to follow compulsorily. Okay, so through this it protects the interest of the investors. Then the sixth important feature is liquidity. Now here liquidity ka matlab hai the assets which can be easily convertible into cash. So when we were discussing the previous topics, there I told you securities are treated as the liquid assets because you can sell the securities and easily you can convert your securities into cash. So securities are treated as liquid assets. So same function is applicable here also. The main function of the stock market is to provide ready market for sale and purchase of securities, because the presence of stock market gives assurance to investors that their investment can be converted into cash whenever they want. The investors can invest in long-term projects without any hesitation. Because of stock exchange, they can convert long-term investment into short-term and medium term, or even liquidate their investments whenever they want. So there is no tension for an investor, because whatever investment is done, he can convert that security or he can sell that security and easily he can convert that security into cash. Now if he is holding a security for a very long period of time, or if he is making a very long term investment, then suddenly he cannot convert his long term investment into cash. For that he has to again follow one procedure. First he has to convert his long term investment into short term or medium term, then he can convert that short term investment into ready cash. So like this liquidity feature is also available for a stock exchange. Better allocation of capital. This is the next function which says that the shares of profit making companies are quoted at higher prices and are actively traded. So such companies can easily raise the fresh capital from stock market. The prices of securities traded in exchange indicates the opportunities for investors. So stock exchange facilitates allocation of investors fund to productive and profitable channels. So as we had discussed about this point in the previous function, the same thing is repeated here. Usually people think of investing in a profit making company. or they usually think of investing in a growth oriented company. And if it is a profit making or if it is a growth oriented company, always the price of such companies or the securities of such companies are quoted at a higher price. So through this, what happens, the company can collect huge amount of capital, and that capital can be used for productive purposes. The eighth function is contributes to economic growth. In stock exchange, securities of various companies are bought and sold. Investors invest in companies which have good return on investments. Hence, companies too try to invest in most productive investment projects. This leads to capital formation as well as economic growth. Now, whatever capital formation is done by the company, now it is the responsibility of the company to utilize that capital in a good project. Okay, now if that capital is used in a good project, obviously it helps in the economic growth of a country. So like this, the capital formation helps in contributing to the economic growth of a country. Then the ninth function is providing scope for speculation. Now here, what do you mean by speculation? It involves trading a financial instrument having huge risk. So to ensure liquidity and demand or supply of securities, the stock exchange permits healthy speculation of securities. Usually the price of securities are not fixed. They are always fluctuating depending upon the market situation or depending upon the demand and supply conditions. So here what happens, it provides a scope or it provides an area for speculation, means one can speculate whether the price may increase or it may decrease. The last function is it promotes the habit of savings and investment. The stock market offers attractive opportunities of investment in various securities. These attractive opportunities encourage people to save more and invest in securities of corporate sector rather than investing in unproductive assets like gold, silver, etc. Now, with the help of uh, stock exchange, it usually promotes or it usually helps or it usually creates a habit of savings among the investors, means the persons or the people who have idle cash or idle money, they can make an investment in the stock exchange and they can enjoy good returns from the stock exchange instead of saving more, and instead of investing that amount in gold or silver, they can invest in the stock exchange securities. Okay, so in today's video we shall stop here. The further part will be continued in the next video. Okay, thank you.